Hello, and welcome to the Dahlia World Gardens presentation of Seattle at Dawn, a Mage the Ascension Chronicle. I am our storyteller, Tim Dahlia. Thank you for joining us. If you like our show and you want more, you can catch all of our magical shenanigans on our YouTube playlist. And while you're here, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We would greatly appreciate it, and it will help us out make more of the content that you like. Today, on Seattle at Dawn, we bring a special solo session as part of our prologue for our next book. Today, we will feature. Today, we will further explore the life of Carl Weatherman, played by our friend Scott. Why don't you introduce yourself to the masses, Scott?
Hello, I'm Scott. I play Carl Weatherman. I go by he, him pronouns, and I'm just very glad that my character isn't dead. Went through a
I'd
lot of
like to
stuff.
build things up. I want you to be really invested, and then I'll kill you.
I see that happening. I see that happening. But yeah,
I
last
haven't killed.
last session was really fun. Really had a lot of fun with that.
I haven't killed anybody yet, but last session was close. Uh,
Oh, last session was definitely close.
but spoiler alert: last session was also a hallucination. So
True
at
that.
least that part.
But
Um,
any if that's any indication of the future, I need to beware.
oh, no, you cannot trust your senses. This is Mage the Ascension. All right. Well, with that, let us get started. It has been no, sorry. I am hitting all the wrong notes. Sorry. The end of 2021 has been rough for you, Carl. In these last few months of the
Yeah.
calendar year, you have seen some shit. Lured to Seattle with the
Mhm.
promise of learning more about your lineage and the mission to fold Sikta Burn Vox into the Kha'vadi tradition, though it may have just been
Mhm.
an elaborate test. It wasn't long before you found yourself in the clutches of the New World Order, undergoing re education. Though, the first step of which appeared to be mental and temporal torture. You found
Mhm.
escape with the help of a friendly spirit named Fiddy and managed to reach the ground floor of Construct Grey. You then met Claudia, the massive saber-toothed tiger intent on keeping you within the construct. You escaped this terror by leaping into a portal with the Night Hunters and Griffin Claw, which digitized you, landing in a VR game called Melodium. You then escaped that fantasy nightmare to find yourself in the Construct Grey server. Some systems seem to assist you avoid the detection of the New World Order and other conventions, and it brought you to a safe place just as the Waymaker caused a whiteout in that sector. Your mysterious benefactor turned out to be Supervisor Mary Burnvox of Iteration X. She also is the mother of Sikta, and the reason you were there in
Yeah.
the first place. You and Sikta were captured while attempting a break in. As a supervisor in the Technocratic Union's Iteration X, she could not interfere with their operation. So she sent an anonymous phone call to the Waymaker, encouraging him to come to your rescue. A deal was struck, and she released Sikta to your care. Sikta's friend Darwin remained behind, having been uncovered as a mole. The Bridge Trolls of Seattle took you in for a short time before you were sent to a safer location, the Cascade Grove, where you did not fit in. A little dejected, you returned back to Seattle, and found yourself mixed up with the Night Hunters once again. This time, you were able to assist them in their mission against a group of spiritual terrorists. You managed to defeat the
Yeah.
otherworldly Owlwalkers and their leader. The Night Hunters and the goofy yet wise Animus Vox have vowed to help you on your journey along the fragile path. And this is where you find yourself. You are surrounded by new friends and have a secure foothold in Seattle. You've helped save several lives and plan to help many more. So, what is next?
When you put it that way,
Dragon.
a lot has happened.
It's amazing how fast it piles up. But
Yeah, for
perhaps,
sure.
as we've
So,
seen before, a reading of the tarot can help us. So, Scott, it is time for us to peer into the fate of Carl Weatherman. When you are
yes.
ready, we will have you flip the card furthest to the left. If you right click on the card, it'll give you the option to flip it.
Furthest to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. And then click on it. Hmm.
Yeah, just be a right click, brings up the menu. Near the top is flip card.
Okay, got you.
Ta-da. And we have this gruesome looking fella,
Primordialism.
the king of primordialism, often
Mm.
associated with vanity, but has further meanings in terms of emotional loyalty, commitment, spontaneity, generosity, and responsibility. I think this being the card representing Carl's past, well, you tell me, where has Carl experienced loyalty and, you know, commitment?
Well, loyalty to his. I would say that loyalty would be like to his quest to further the knowledge of the library, his commitment to uh, basically become a member of the Dream Speakers, and his commitment to keeping his word to like taking care of Sikta, because he did give that his word to his mother,
Yeah,
even though she
responsibility.
even though it was her doing that, it's not like her son had any hand in that.
Right on.
Um,
Responsibility to Sikta, loyalty to the Kha'vadi, commitment to the expansion of the family library, even
mhm.
specifically to building resources that would be um, that would that would counter the um, technocratic union. So
Right.
yes, and of course you now have the support of the Night Hunters, specifically Enea
Mhm.
and Animus Vox. When it comes to the library, Jezzy's got a pretty decent start on that as well, and
Right.
your goals are in alignment there. In fact, that I see as a group project that we will probably have everybody roll on at some point as well. Uh,
Yeah, so it seems like my goal to further my family's knowledge, at the very least, is on its way, is truly on its way.
yeah, this past definitely shows clear conviction to that. Let
Hmm.
us take the next card to the right, and we will be reading from left to right. Um,
Okay.
and this is going to be the card representing the present.
The present.
Okay, that is the three of questing, and
Hmm.
it's reversed. Oftentimes, this card is associated with the Sphere of Prime and the Celestial Chorus, both of which seem to have higher spiritual aspirations. Um, but reversed, this represents a degree of treachery and
Hmm.
disappointment. Um, and I think that it's not too past the veil to sense that there is a sense of treachery, especially being captured by the New World Order and
Hmm.
finding that Darwin was a mole and just going through that entire experience um, in the recent past would leave a person with a sense of disappointment in the present.
Right.
But what do you feel about it?
Actually, that hit the nail. Uh, Another, I wouldn't say disappointment, but more of a surprise is asking my avatar for help and it not turning out the way I expected.
Mm-hmm.
And
The cosmic asshole that is our
right, the
avatars.
cosmic asshole. So it really makes me wonder what exactly, he is my avatar. It's not like I can change that, but what exactly is it that he's leading me to?
Hmm.
How can he help me? And is it really the type of help that I really want?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Okay.
mine regardless. I need to
Hmm.
figure out a way of being able to utilize it.
Agreed. Um, yeah, oftentimes we forget that the avatar is there. They will get jealous,
Mm,
depending on one's relationship, um, and whether they're jealous or not. They have a will of their own. All
right.
right. Well, with that, let us move on and let's take a look at the broader sense of Carl's future with the next card.
Right.
Another reversed card,
Another.
but this one is the Five of Dynamism. The this card, often associated with dishonor, um, and defeat and constriction, fear. Reversed, it could mean conquest. It could mean threat or menace. Um, so in this position, the future may hold some form of conquest. Perhaps you do end up getting what you're looking for,
Right.
but there may be a cost. There may be other threats waiting in the wings. How does this card make you feel, Carl?
Well, it makes me feel that maybe I'm right as far as getting the information and connections outside of my, I guess, making the connection with my family's library with other people. So with like Anea, that's going well. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
Jezzy's family as well, depending on how that whole situation works out. And um possibility of other avenues as well, but those other avenues may come at a cost.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it going back to my avatar, me utilizing him could come at a cost. Which is kind of a hint back to my origin about, like the accident that happened.
Yeah, Wiki revels in other people's misery.
Right.
All right. Gotta get past that verbal tick. Okay. Let's say we move on to the next card. The next card
Right.
is going to be representative of the core reasons for current circumstances. It may represent one of many aspects, but it is still a present situations card. Wow, that's a card. Okay.
I guess so.
That is the 10 of questing. This card is clearly associated with entropy, and also specifically the Chakravanti tradition, whom definitely utilize entropy to determine the fates of others and to take on the responsibility of ending those fates if necessary. This card often means oppression, burden, trial, failure, limitations and restrictions, or holding back. I think, in terms of the current circumstances that you find yourself in, that can actually be pretty true. You are in a situation where you're out of your element, you're in a strange city, you have decided to stick around and learn more, but there's oppressive forces about, largely from the Technocratic Union, but there's also, you feel, other things going on, especially after your experience with the Owlwalkers.
Right.
So that's my interpretation. What are you feeling about that?
That's my interpretation as well. In a different fish in a new pond. So it's completely out of my element. Anything that would make me feel comfortable, I am not there. Uh, Having to rely on the kindness of strangers and
Strange strangers at that.
strange strangers at that, especially since I was never really subjected to any of this kind of stuff, as far as my childhood and even my partial manhood goes. Everything is brand spanking new. So when I see something new, it's like it's a state of awe.
Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff going on. Like you've known you're different for a while now.
Right.
And you've also kept that under wraps and haven't ventured out into the larger populace. You are largely
Right.
self-taught, and that's okay. But you are now seeing that there is a bigger world. There is almost a, getting off the Hogwarts Express sort of experience going on
Hmm.
here.
And it's a
Obviously,
bit overwhelming.
it honestly, that there is, yeah, that is something I would expect.
Yeah.
So we now have the final card. This card representing the potential of a situation, something that can either be a goal or a warning. So
Right.
let us see what we find.
Hmm.
I can pretty much look at that card and say that looks like both a goal and a warning.
Right. Right.
Yes, this is the Empress. This card has a strong association with the Verbena, being the more witchy and carnal of the traditions. They are definitely visceral in their approach to enlightened magical practices. It often does represent wisdom, the Earth Mother, prophecy, contentment, fruitfulness. It's a major arcana card, so it is a big. Um, it covers a lot,
Right.
um, but overall, it does tend to represent creation and wisdom and those sort of and even sort of motherly natures. So I look at this and I feel that you are in a situation almost like a child, and
Right.
you're dealing with a lot of mothers here, even if they're not actual mothers. You're dealing with protection, not necessarily even protection, but just keeping an eye on Sikta for his mother. You are
Hmm.
the new kid on the block, and Enea is offering her counsel. And then you have Animus Vox as well. So that's all very comforting
Hmm.
and nurturing type of experience. But what do you think? That's where I'm at. Also, I should say before you say anything, sorry. Um, that motherly, nurturing feeling is still coming from a school of hard knocks type of mentality. That's not a like, you know, it's not the best mom out there. Okay, so
Right. Um, that's probably, well, probably that's right. Dealing with being the new kid on the block and basically being like I guess the magic equivalent of a street punk because I am self-taught and just kind of more of shooting in the dark. And now I'm dealing with people who are, I guess, well, they're just well trained. They've actually gone through a curriculum is probably a way of saying it. And they have more of a clear and concise outlook and way of teaching, or a way of being taught, which that's going to be how they teach. You know what I'm saying? And me is more like just kind of picking up and using and trying, and maybe, throw it in the pond and see if it ripples.
right.
See what happens. And they're going to be more, which it's still going to be trial by fire, because it's not like they're going to hold my hand in doing it. I could see Animus Vox more of a holding hand. Here, let me tell you how to do this, be careful of that. And Cindy being like, here's this information, give it a try.
Absolutely. That is very valid and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, in that, I think we are ready to continue. We have a broad outline and guide for Carl's current um, existence and future in Seattle. So now we continue. It has been a few days since the events with the Owlwalkers. Christmas has come and gone. You spent it with your new friends in Nay's sanctum, all of you feeling more comfortable together. In this week, the news has reported the capture of domestic terrorist Ned Calhoun. His attacks on the disenfranchised of Seattle have been revealed. His attempt to cover his tracks and fake his death by bombing his own bar have failed. Many of the Home Guard Solution members have been arrested. To the shock of the media, Some of the police forces have been caught in a protection conspiracy and are now suspended without pay. An IA review is pending. On top of this, there are several anonymous sources that have been feeding the media and the public. It seems Anea's contact, Teki Pesci, has the elite skills that she bragged about. It's not expected, but you have not heard from Operative Watts. The New World Order rarely lets any information out to the public that they haven't approved of. And like a ghost, Vesper has faded away. Anea's hands have finally stopped bleeding. She still seems to be shaken from the experience, but the effects of Paradox have faded away. Jezebel and Jennifer have returned to the Unity commune. Jezzy promised to call you and Anea if she ever needed any help, and of course invited you to the New Year celebration that they throw every year, because it promises to be a banger. Charlie has arranged to meet with Mark Cardassian, who you do not know, in Bellevue to help his family friend, Joel Stalker. There is some weirdness that you're not entirely sure about. They haven't spoken directly about it, but somebody may have murdered somebody. You're not sure. And frankly, they don't think anybody was murdered. And this brings you to Anea's car, and she has dropped you off at a North Seattle warehouse. You and Animus Vox get out of the vehicle and say your goodbyes, and she drives off, and Animus smiles, this being his home. Well, come on in, make yourself at home. I'll make some tea.
Well, I could definitely go for some tea. Hot tea or sweet tea?
Which tea do you like?
I'll take sweet tea.
Animus opens the front office door and allows you to enter and follows you in. Animus himself rushes past you into a kitchen that's a bit past the office. You look around as the lights come on, and the office is not as cluttered as you expected. It is dustier than it should be, but it's been several weeks, from what you understand, that Animus has been here. The puppeteer goes and starts making the tea in the kitchen using a small hot plate that's plugged into the wall. Past the kitchen and into the warehouse proper is the Animus Vox Productions puppet place. This space has fallen to disuse over the years, and only a few spots seem to have active projects.
Oh, wow.
Animus approaches from behind, tea in hand. It isn't much to look at, huh?
It's pretty cool to me.
Well, thanks there, buddy.
You made all this.
Oh, not me all by myself. I had some help from, the rest of the Seattle the Seattle Spirit Science animateers. But, yeah, now it's just me.
Well, it looks impressive to me.
I'm glad you think so. I mean, a lot of the spirits here have become still or have moved on if they can, but nobody wants puppet theater anymore. So, we all wait here. I've done my best.
So I'm kind of awestruck just because of, the I like the way it looks and it's all really cool. So you said that you would help me out with, you know, I'm really not formally trained in any of this. I literally kind of did this by the seat of my pants. There's this whole story behind it, but I would like to have some, if you don't mind showing me some stuff.
I could use a new apprentice or so, something like that. And I think, yeah, I think that would be really good for both of us.
Awesome. Awesome.
You can help me kind of get things cleaned up. I got an extra room upstairs, and you know, we do a couple shows here in the city. It's not like it used to be. We used to have our own studio and cameras, and it was great. But now it's just me and Rapsy Rags and his friends, and a couple shows for the kids at you know some of the sadder areas of Seattle.
Hey, whatever, I'm willing to help. Eh, for your knowledge, I'm definitely willing to help. I appreciate it.
That is, I almost lost hope. I've been doing this by myself for a while now, and I think some of the advisory board kind of looks at me like a joke, like I don't know that I'm weird.
Weird is what makes the world go round. I
You
don't
should see
see.
some of the people on the board. They're weird too. They just don't know it. But weird is good. Weird is what works. Weird is what makes you special.
That's right. Absolutely. And in this world, if you're not weird, you're probably the technocratic union.
I hope not. I think you know, in the years since like 2003 and all that craziness that was going on back then, I, I I'd like to think that we found some element of balance. I mean, the technocracy wanted control. They wanted to live everyone's lives for them almost, and people
Mm,
rejected that. Some of them rejected it rather violently, and unfortunately leaned into some scarier, Nazi stuff, but I
yeah.
don't think everybody wants to be under the thumb of their uh, billionaire bureaucrat running their TikToks or whatever. It's not my thing.
I'm with you on that.
Well, here, let me come here. Let me show you. I got a couple little projects here that I can uh, uh, go over with you, and we can kind of see where you're at with your learning. Because I learned by working with them. They taught me.
Okay, let's give her a try.
Okay, so over this period of time, you are working with Animus, and Animus is one of those who is wise, but without ever you realizing it, and will and has access to abilities that you are not quite um, with yet. Like he understands working with the physical world and making things a bit better than you do, and not just the craft level of things, but like the fundamental, like how to make spirit and prime and matter all work together. And even, as you've seen, he's able to take his inner essence and almost imbue it into a,
Right.
a being. So he can awaken spirits, but he can make a puppet alive almost. Not
Right.
quite like a Frankenstein's monster out of, craft parts, but it's almost as creepy. They're not alive, they're still the physical object. But they're a physical object that is meant to be this thing.
Right.
Unlike a cell phone or some of the tech that you've dealt with, where its primary purpose is to be this device, and like Fitty is meant to be the Fitbit. These puppets, they're alive, and their spirit is that of the puppet.
Right.
Um, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
So, for Carl, under the apprenticeship of Animus, you have 23 experience points currently. Would you want to appropriate any of that from the learnings, from the teachings of Animus Vox?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So,
Definitely.
understood. In the got so many handouts, but in the handout section, there is a handout for experience costs. Um, you currently have 23 experience points, if I am reading that correctly. That can get you a few things. You can work on some skills. You could pick up some different spheres, ranks in knowledge. You can um, you can increase matter from 2 to 3, or forces from 2 to 3. Um, that would be one big thing, though. That would be because that would require 16 points. But I'll let that be up to you. You can look at that and figure out how you want to spend your points.
All right. What? Um, I am. I think I am not necessarily where I need to be.
Okay.
Uh, where did you say that the points were under?
So, on the right hand side of the virtual tabletop, I have a series of handouts and folders. There's one folder called Player Resources, and under that are several other folders, but specifically there's a handout called Experience Costs.
Is it under the journal?
Yes, under the journal. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that it's under the journal tab.
So it's on journal, tarot.
It's after
Oh,
the
player
tarot,
resources.
there's the
Gotcha.
player resources.
And then it was the under player resources. It was
Experience costs.
there we go. Hmm. And I had how many to spend?
23.
23. I think I will spend one in matter.
Okay. Yeah, that's 16 points to go from 2 to 3. Leaving you with 7.
Leaving me with 7.
Mhm. And you can keep those for other things later, or like I said, you have the opportunity now to learn from a master craftsman and spiritual guide.
Yes, that is definitely what I want. To learn from a master craftsman, because I could turn my if I can take the electronics and craft things out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of what I was thinking was, after what you said, is like, it's one thing just to awaken a phone and then use a spirit to be able to see auras and stuff like that. But let's something like rags,
Mm-hmm.
that would be really freaking cool to give it, to awaken it, but it have its own personality and actually have it as like, not necessarily maybe on my level as like a part of me in it, but to awaken it and it be, I guess, like an individual, and like have it as like a partner,
Yeah,
almost like a
absolutely.
puppet master. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have that creepy ventriloquist dummy from Buffy. We've all seen that episode. That one is
Oh yeah.
terrifying. Not many things are terrifying on television in the 90s, but that was it. Okay. So, what would you spend those 7 points on?
Well, what would make sense?
Well, working with animus, it could be crafts, it could
I was
be
thinking,
expression, it could be um, maybe not technology, but could be meditation. Um, there could be some expansion into cosmology. He's got understandings of that. Um, so yeah, you can look. New abilities are 3 points apiece, and then raising one is the current rating times two. So you have a limited number of points, but it can be spent here.
right. So, huh. I see him teaching me for a long time, so,
You've got a few
or
minutes.
hopefully he'll be teaching me for a long time. So I think I'm gonna go for crafts this particular time.
Okay, so going from uh, it's going to cost 2 points to go from 1 to 2.
Okay. Which
So that
leaves
leaves
me
you with
with
5.
5. I think cosmology.
Okay, so that'll be 3. That would leave you with 2.
I think for right now I'm gonna hold on to the 2.
Okie dokie. I'll make that note and just add here. And I'm starting to add in these descriptions here. And in fact, it's one of those things that you could keep track of yourself. You could actually add to the experience and how much it's going to cost. And obviously, you don't have it complete until it's complete. So you can
Right.
mark as you grow. I really like this, and I'm sad that we weren't using it earlier.
Okay. Yeah, I see that as a like a goal based thing. So once you
Hmm.
get your points and you reach that point, it's an easy
You can,
tick off.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can say, yeah, I've got that ticked off. Let's role play that out or whatever.
Right.
So we'll keep that in mind. But there's that. You've got your 2 points. I'd say that's probably a good amount to keep because that can be used to learn specific routes. And I'll think of some things for Animus to teach you that you would, then pick up from them. Um, that would cost those points. So that is a good win.
Sounds good.
So working with Animus, um, he kind of shows you like you get your own little space set up. He's got um, a couple of workbenches. Um, the one that you have set up, he's like, okay, so the first thing you're gonna want to do is craft craft your first being. What would you want to see in the world?
Well, let's see. I would like to see because I'm all about computers and technology and stuff like that. Start. I don't know. I think I would like to see like a one of my favorite characters, like a Tachikoma.
Okay, who is that? I'm not sure. I live under a rock apparently.
A Tachikoma from Ghost in the Shell, the
Hmm.
spider tanks. But they also access the internet, and they have, well, the show, it had they are a tank that the person can actually get into, and they have guns, but they can search the internet and they can do stuff like that. But I don't expect to make anything that big, but something like, you know something kind of big, something that can be held in two hands.
Okay. Um, Animus is like, well, I mean, I don't know how that's going to fit into the puppet show, but we'll figure it out. And it goes like this for a while here. Um, the first week is a bit touch and go. He doesn't necessarily like your taste in music, and has tried to introduce you to some of the classic grooves that he used to love. Um,
Mm.
a lot of Crosby, Stills, and Nash type of shit. Some folk music, protest songs, that sort of stuff. You get a sense that he certainly, while probably a little too young to be a hippie, he looked up to the hippies. Um,
Right.
and you do go to the New Year's party on the commune, and it was awesome. Jezebel, sexy, danced with everyone. Um, the rift between the Night Hunters and her Aunt Mabel, though, still seemed fresh, and tension
Mm.
um, still filled the area. Fireworks display, outside fire, even in the cold, wet winter of Ashan Island. Um, there was a kind of an awkward dude, but mostly hanging out with Jezebel. Had a cup in his hand most of the time, and just seemed to be awkwardly happy to be around. She introduced you. His name was Mike. He apparently is a projectionist, but is currently not a projectionist because the projection room exploded. um,
Ooh.
at Winterfest. So that was the thing. Uh, and Jezzy and Anea both really seem in good spirits. They have some sort of newfound strength and wisdom that just kind of permeates through their actions. Um, and with the help of you, the Cabal has started to build the resources towards the shared library that you've proposed. So, in that, let us have you roll your Arete. This is a group roll. I'm taking everybody's successes, difficulty 6, and just kind of using that for calculating the quality of the project. Let's see, what was that? That was 2 successes. Excellent. All right. I will put that down. I will make a note, as Jason Carl says. Have you ever watched any of the LA or New York by Night series?
I finished season 1 and season 2 of LA by Night.
God, that was so good. I love
Yeah,
that crew.
it was good. It was good.
I am really happy about what I've seen there. And as you can tell, part of the inspiration for this. Okay, moving on. Self-plug away there. It is after the New Year's party on a late January Thursday that Animus has brought you to the Theater of the Mind. And the Theater of the Mind is the local chantry. And I wouldn't say that they're the only chantry in the area. There is rumors of an older chantry that no longer functions to the north. The Cascade Grove chantry that you were housed in for a while is there. And there are definitely mages, like the Bridge Trolls, that don't pay any fealty to this tradition's organization. But a majority of the Cabals and tradition aligned mages operate under the purview of this chantry, the Theater of the Mind. And oh, I got all the wrong people on the screen. Let me fix that. So, Animus takes you to the famous Pike Place Market and spends some time at the stalls above, but eventually takes you to the ground level. And on the ground level, it's not very, there's not a lot of fanfare. It's just a road. And
right.
On this road, you find the Conjurer's Cubbyhole. I'm not going to have you roll anything, but you can sense that every time you bring your eye to look at the very nondescript location, it wants to keep moving on. It never wants to directly look at this location. And it's unnerving because it's like it doesn't want to be found, but it's also a shop. And oh dear, I'm missing that. Okay. Well, that's one visual we're not going to get. No problem. had a visual of the actual door that was closer, but whatever. I can describe it. So the door is this kind of orange rust color, and there are larger doors that look like you'd open up and you can get in and have a open shop, but they've been shuttered, and on there is a single old timey like vaudeville poster with a stage magician, top hat, tuxedo, rabbit being pulled out type of thing, and it says the witness the magic of the great Rudolfo, and it definitely harkens back to that like early 20th century vibe, like I said, very vaudeville. And Animus is like, come on in, I know it's a little creepy, and hey, you know I oh, that's so scary. And he looks up and he enters, and there's a little bit of a shrunken head in one of the glass cases. Throughout the interior is a lot of kitschy gag joke magic items, not real magic. This is very very much a stage,
Right.
and it's almost insulting, if you because magic's real, how to conjure certain things, you can make things happen, and here it
Right.
is, actual mages pretending. So, but with that, Animus is like, this is just the entrance, and it's a cool little homage to Rodolfo, who used to run the Theater of the Mind. He's a cool guy. I'll introduce you someday.
Okay.
He's
Uh,
he's retired now. He's living his life. Comes through every once in a while.
oh, so mages can actually retire?
Well, I mean, some days you kind of have to.
Well, yeah.
For I mean, we age, we get old. Sometimes you just want to, enjoy what you have left. It's not for everyone. Some of us, there's some been around for hundreds of years. I remember there's a dude used to don't talk about this guy in front of Malcolm, but Porthos for his Empress. He was around for like 500 years until he blew
How
up.
old are you?
I don't know, like 60, maybe. It's hard to keep track.
Okay.
I move back and forth from different realities. It's like time moves differently in some places than others, and like I said, you lose track.
Okay.
Animus waves to the girl at the counter, who barely even acknowledges your presence. She just is drawing in a sketchbook. And he takes you to the back door, next to the counter, and you enter into this room that continues the theme a bit, but it's darker, and it has a few seats laid out in front of a stage, and there are more posters of Rudolfo the Great and things that say like Rudolfo is magic, but you can see that the posters show a progressively aging Rudolfo over the centuries, or sorry, over the
Right.
decades. And he gets older and fatter in like each sequential poster. And there's also some glass cases with some, in this case, probably true magic items. You can feel kind of the quintessence bubbling off of them. They may or may not be part of this welcoming display. But
Right.
when you walk in and see the stage, there is a singular door that apparently has nothing behind it but the stage. And Animus walks up to the door. He's like, "Now this might throw you off a little bit, but well, you'll see." And he opens the door, and brilliant golden light shines out of it. And it's blinding at first, but as your eyes adjust, you find yourself standing on a sidewalk. And across the street is a grand turn of the century theater. It is opulent. It is art deco everywhere, and it lights up the road that you notice is also kind of mid 20th century. And you look down to the left and you see the road go on into blackness. You look to the right and the road continues into more blackness. And
Mm.
there's only a few scattered buildings on the other side of this road next to the theater. And you look above, and it seems like the entire city of Seattle is above. It looks like that is some piping and some electrical work, but mostly rock.
Oh,
Yeah, watch your step coming on in.
is this like a pocket dimension or something?
That, I mean, I hadn't heard it so succinctly said, but yeah, this kind of is like a pocket dimension. Although, if you keep going that way, you could get lost. There's some tunnels, and we've lost a few mages that way.
You won't have to worry about me leaving your side.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, curiosity can
Yeah,
lead the
kill
way.
the cat.
Enigma. How did that go? Enigma teaches us what dogma cannot. I think. Meh, something like that. Anyway, come on. And without even looking both ways, just keeps walking towards the entrance of the theater.
I definitely follow.
Absolutely. So, you get into the theater. There's, the lights are on, but there seems to be, there's a crew of people that are working, and Animus doesn't seem to really acknowledge too much of them. They seem to just be working the theater during the matinee shift, and you know what that's like.
Right.
And so, it ends up taking you into like the grand theater, and walks you all the way down to the bottom, where the stage is at. He's like, "Oh," and there's a chair, single chair, sitting there on the stage. It's like, "Oh, that's for you."
What, the chair?
Yeah,
So I guess I'm just gonna go sit in it.
yeah.
Okay. All right. You think it's okay? So
I
I
would,
go up and I kind of look around, taking in my surroundings a little bit, and I sit in the chair.
of course. It is the chair. There's nothing dangerous or scary about it, but you are on a stage in an empty room at the moment. You and Animus, rather. And that can make a person feel really kind of naked.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I mean, how does Carl feel in this moment?
Well, a little a little put on the spot and a little reluctant, just because it's one thing to go to a place and you walk into a store and you can see that this stuff is fake or whatever. But we moved into a pocket dimension to a really beautiful place that they tell me that if I go left or right, I could probably get lost. And now I'm sitting in the middle of a very extravagant theater put on the spot. So feeling kind of naked.
Yeah. And after a moment, while you sit there, um, the side doors open and a few people stream in. And they kind of wave to Animus and summon him over. And there's a small series of chairs there in the orchestra pit. They're not going to sit in the main audience area, but um, Animus goes over, talks to him a little bit. I don't know. They don't really say. I mean, you can. I mean, you could try listen in, but they're pretty far away. They're speaking in hushed tones. But did you want to try and listen in, or?
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, where's my stuff? Is it
I'd say
Year of
build a dice-
Dionysus?
Yeah, perception and I guess alertness would be the best options here.
Perception.
See if you can hear what they're saying.
Perception and alertness. There's no DP mod,
No.
and still a difficulty of 6.
Yes. Ooh, 4 successes. Okay. 4 successes is more than enough. Your hearing's pretty good. You haven't gone to many concerts and stood next to a speaker or anything, like some of us. And in their hushed tones, you hear, "So, is this the new one?" "Yeah, it's the new guy. I've been working with him. He's pretty cool." "Yeah, but I mean, he's coming from outside, and I know that's kind of why we have these sort of meetings, right? Just to make sure, right?" "Yeah, I guess so, Animus, but yeah." "Okay, cool. Thank you for bringing your new apprentice and doing the right thing and presenting him to the council. Let's get this over with. I got like a meeting later." And you hear the woman's like, "Yeah, I got a raid in like 30 minutes, so let's see what we can do about this." "All right, cool. So they say their things, and Animus comes up and he stands behind you and he's like, "Okay, gathered members of the Theater of the Mind, welcome one and all to the show of I, Animus Fox, present my youngest new apprentice and Padawan, Carl Weatherman." To that, some roll their eyes, but the red-haired gentleman definitely seems to be amused by that. And the person sitting next to the red-haired gentleman is a fabulous, bald, difficult to say. They seem very gender fluid, non-binary, and they look at you, and you can kind of feel a wave of energy hit you when they look up, and it's also kind of alluring. They kind of seem like they're you know, they want you to look back, sort of feel.
Right.
And they speak up and say, "Do you present yourself to the Theater of the Mind of Seattle?"
I do.
Then present us with your unique gifts and talents. Show us what makes you worthy.
I just kind of look at Animus and go like, do I just kind of show them what I have or what I do or
It's a pretty safe place. You know, there's really no chance of like backlash or anything in here. It's pretty. Well, I mean, it's a chantry. It's kind of what chantries are for, showing off.
okay. All right, so I guess the first thing I do is I said, well, I don't necessarily really know how to show you, but I pull up my cell phone and I was like, I can look at auras and tell stuff around with this, and I guess I am gonna actually like look at them through the phone.
Okay. It is the phone settings are typically designed for the mundane world, finding magic and energies that are not readily apparent. Here,
Right.
it is bright. It everything is lighting up, and so much so, I would say I would have you make a perception and awareness roll at a difficulty 8 to kind of discern anything
Oh,
of use.
perception, awareness at a
Mhm.
difficulty 8.
Yes. One success. Um, it's it's like looking at the sun and trying to figure out the color of a light bulb next to it. Um,
Right.
it's really hard. You managed to ascertain that of the 5 individuals now sitting in front of you, um, the red-haired gentleman is the brightest shining. You see lots of little shiny little sparks, and definitely has the most powerful aura of the group. Um, they all shine in some of their way, but that's the most that you can
Right.
kind of figure out is like that level. One success is about all you can get from that, or vice versa.
So as I'm doing this and I'm trying to kind of show, I go, I kind of stop on them and kind of go, whoa.
The
And I was like,
red-haired
well,
gentleman just like, yeah, we could do that too. You know, I had a cell phone once. It didn't work out.
yeah, so I just kind of put it back in my pocket and then I pull out my Jazzy drive and I go,
Right.
I summon my data fights, but I tell
Okay.
them no consuming of anything.
They reluctantly agree, but they do sulk a bit. Um, they
Ah, Carl, why? We're hungry.
I, I promise I'll feed you here, and I have a little bit of the stuff left over from the shop that I have, and I said, if you play nice, I'll give you some of this, and then you can go away.
and they seem okay with that. They've been getting a pretty consistent diet with you working with Animus, and then in the back of your head you hear,
You don't have to play clown to these assholes.
Oh
Why
no.
don't you show them something really impressive?
What are you just gonna show up? Or I think this. I don't say this out loud. So are you just gonna show up or something? Or
I say you find some beautiful brunette and just cut her in half. I mean, this is a magic show, right?
yeah, no, I'm not doing that. How about I?
How about you find out where they live, and after this meeting, you send suspicious packages?
No, we're not doing that.
Carl, you're beginning to not be much fun.
You weren't much fun when you really didn't help me out.
Can't carry you everywhere, Carl. Fine. Play house with these. I don't know, whatever they are. Jokers. I'm a joker.
You have this internal monologue, and no one else sees it, but you're still summoning the data fights, and the woman in the group, she looks actually kind of curious about that. She's like, okay, yeah, that looks interesting. What are those?
Uh, these are my data fights. I can send them to retrieve or to consume information or things. They definitely eat spirit.
She whispers to the person next to her. She's like, go on, show us more. I'm actually kind of impressed by that. That's pretty neat.
We never really figured out exactly what my flashlight does.
Whatever you want it to. You've got magic. You can a lot of the things that you can do, you can just do here. I'm not even going to have you necessarily roll for it.
Okay.
In this space, magic and quintessence flows pretty easily. It's designed to be a safe space for that. So
Gotcha.
if there's anything that you can think of, you can probably will it to happen through your devices.
Okay. Well, I haven't really tried this yet, and forgive me, but I think. Oh no, well, it's not. I don't have anything that I like or dislike. I was gonna try to use Nightmare Dance, but
Okay. What would Nightmare Dance do? I don't recall.
Nightmare Dance, it's
Ah.
the dream speaker sends disturbing dreams to someone that they don't like. The mind version taps
Now we're
directly into the
talking.
target spheres. So I said I haven't really used this yet, and I try to push this out on someone in the room.
The nightmare?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you targeting?
Well, I'm definitely not targeting the most powerful one. Don't want to piss him off. No, actually don't want to piss any of them off. But I said, so I'm gonna try this. I haven't done this yet. I'm going to project a nightmare. It's not that I dislike anybody here, but you kind of want to see what I can do. So here we go.
The gentleman with the top knot is like, yo, bro, come at me.
Okay, then I project on him.
Okay. You reach out with spirit, and you, with your base levels in mind and spirit, you're able to pull out the spectral vision of what this gentleman fears, and you see in their mind a Yeah, you see something that resembles a a woman, but she takes on more of a liquid metal form and
Mm.
shifts and molds into various weapons. And um, she seems to be laughing and dancing and covered in a dark reddish liquid.
Mm.
And you see him kind of stab his head back and close his eyes a moment and breathe. And then he centers himself and he seems to be okay again. But he looks at the red-haired gentleman and then at Animus Vox and the other two and is like, "Well, that was nightmarish. Um that is definitely a talent. Scary. You're a scary dude. I like you.
I,
Should come
tr-
to the
I
locker
try
ship
not
some night."
I try not to be, but this is just kind of that's why I'm with Animus. I'm really not trained in all of this. This is kind of the stuff that I've just picked up. So I yeah, I kind of know what I'm doing, but not really.
None of us have, says the gentleman at the red hair in the center. We have oftentimes found it necessary to gauge one's expertise, especially one who is as self taught as you, Carl. At least, according to Animus, that's what we've heard. I've also heard from the Night Hunters that you are a trustworthy individual, and I just wanted to make sure that you, now that you've been here for a little while, that you know that you have family here in Seattle. And that if you have troubles, you can rely on us to assist you, so long as you are available for assistance when we need it.
It's always give and take, and to be honest with you, you see me visibly kind of like a weight has been taken off of my shoulders. You know, new person, new place it's definitely a strange place. But whenever he says that, I, it's visible that I feel a little more comfortable. And I go, I do appreciate that, and I've come to like Animus. I think he's been a really good teacher so far, and um, I really do appreciate that.
Thank you, Carl. You, we shall extend to you the services of the theater, meaning you will have access to the facilities here behind the Conjurer's Cubbyhole. Animus can show you the way and make sure that you remember the correct mechanism to get past the door. But you should be okay. My name, by the way, since um, it would be rude not to introduce myself at this point, I am Malcolm Matthews. I am the representative of the Order of Hermes for the theater. And Animus raises his hand. And I'm Animus Fox. I am the representative for the Kha'vadi here in the Theater of the Minds Advisory Board. I largely got this position from a lack of interest from anyone else. The next person to Animus's left is the gentleman with the top knot. He's like, "My name's Ocean. I run the Lakashim, and I am the representative from the Sahajia. Um, you may have known us as the Cult of Ecstasy, but we're trying to change that view. So if you see any of us around, know that like our brethren, the Chakravanti, we would also like to polish the image a little bit." And he gives you an award-winning smile. And then that leads the gender fluid individual. They look at you, and you again. Every time you look at them, every time they look at you, you feel yourself want to look at them.
On.
Um, They are attention grabbing, and they speak up. And I am Sage Nova of the Chakravanti, formerly Euthanatoi. And then finally, the last member, she raises her hand. She's like, and I am Ohm. I am of the Geek Squad Cabal, and I am the representative for the Mercurial. No, not the Mercurial. I am the representative for the Society of Ether in this group. And the Malcolm speaks up again. He's like, and the other 4 members of the advisory board are otherwise, occupied, but not necessary for the introduction of a disciple to the greater whole. We welcome you to the Theater of the Mind of Seattle. Carl.
Thank you very much, and I do apologize, Mr. Ocean.
Oh, it's just Ocean, and don't worry, man. I fought that bitch years ago.
That seems kind of mean, whatever that was.
You're not wrong. But the invitation stands. You are welcome to come to the Lakashim any night. Maybe, you know what? Jezebel's been coming a lot lately, so, come and hang out. Lyric, you might... Yeah, you're Lyric's type. You might have some fun.
Lyric?
Yeah, my partner. We run the Lakashim together.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry, you'll know her when you see her, or hear her, or whichever one comes first, because sometimes it's that way.
Hear then see.
Sometimes.
Or sometimes see then hear.
Depends on the night. Well, Carl, if there was anything else you wanted to show us, or had any questions for us, now would be the time. Because from what I understand, Ohm has a raid, whatever that means.
Right. If you guys are okay with what I've shown you, then I'm okay too. I give some bits to my data fights and tell them that they can go back.
Oh, Carl, that was beautiful. That was wonderful. You showed that. Jock, what has coming for him? Some skanky, slinky metal bitch with blades coming out of her hands and blood all over the place. I love it!
In my head, I say, that was kind of rough. I hadn't tried that yet. I'll have to be weary of that one, but yeah, it actually
Mother
was.
said, it's always good to try new things.
Yeah, that I really didn't realize I could do that.
That's what it's all about. Exploration, learning. We try our best to not fall into any particular single dogma. We are all examples of different points of view on how the Tellurian works. And while we share common language, there's a lot that we can still learn from one another when we open ourselves up.
I agree.
Animus, we thank you for taking on a new apprentice and showing them and illuminating their path as they move forward. This is the way we grow the traditions and help all of humanity reach ascension. And you can see that there's a bit of posturing going on here, but he seems to believe what he's saying. He's like, and without further ado. I suppose we should probably get along. You've got a raid, you've got a puppet show, and I can't stay. I've got something to do out in the Etherean wilds. It'll be great. You'll hear about it in a couple days. I'll be back. And with that, he just fades from reality.
Oof.
Pop, gone. And everyone's like, he's a bit of a show off. Yeah, he's a bit of a show off. After this meeting, there is this happens probably in February month. Like, oh no, that's right. This was late January. So yeah, near February, late January. And you spend some more time with Animus. You the winter in Seattle, while not like Alaska cold, can get pretty dismal. And not many in Seattle are as fortunate as Animus or the Night Hunters or anybody who's got means. After the rush of some awakened politics, you and the Night Hunters find yourselves in some pretty nice groove. You got some research, you're doing some assistance with Animus Vox. You're building a spider tank puppet that you're not quite sure how you're going to work into a kid show. But
I may have to start working on something else. That's more of a work of passion.
That's your passion project. So
right.
For the kids show, you wanting to not demonize technology but not have people reliant upon it, trying to find that middle ground where you work together with the technology. What type of introductory children's character puppet would you make?
If I was to make a puppet and I was a person that wants to integrate technology into that stuff, it would have to be a robot of some sort, even if it was like a like a kid friendly,
Okay.
something about maybe a foot tall, kind of roundy, no sharp edges, or make it roundy, for kids and stuff like that. But
something that they can play with after the show as well.
Right. And you could make it remote control.
Excellent. Okay. I'll have ideas for that as we go. So in these quieter months, you've been working with Animus, and you've done a couple shows, and you've helped him set up the stage a bit. And it is now reaching early mid-April, let's say April 12th. And sometime last week, above the city skyline, a strange luminal event has started occurring. It seems to be it's there during the day, but really visible at night. A aurora borealis like effect. But it's not like the northern lights at all, really. It's far too south to really be considered that. And it's not following Earth's normal magnetic field. And it seems to be following its own pattern. It's been eerily in the sky, like I said, for just over a week now. And you've been informed via Animus that the advisory board is looking into it. But you've also heard from the bridge trolls that they don't know what's going on. And the Night Hunters are curious about it, and Charlie is spooked. And all the other cabals seem to be on high alert.
Hmm.
But here you are, one of the local charity safe houses for displaced families, and particularly mothers and their children who are getting out of bad domestic violence scenarios. And so Animus has, got agreements with them to do shows for the kids um, every few weeks or so. And you're helping him set up the stage. It's built on a trailer. It has robotic controls, and for the animatronic puppets, Animus has been doing this on his own for so long that there's actually quite a bit of automation built into this. It's almost like a Chuck E. Cheese
Right.
type of show. But there's also a little bit of improvisation that he deals with, and under the guise that these things are animatronic, they bring their own personalities and do so without breaking breaking coincidental effects. So everybody assumes they're just watching robots. It's actually kind of beautiful that he's snuck away to kind of show magic and teach these baseline magical principles in a way that's not breaking reality so much that there's a risk to anyone.
Right.
And this is the show that introduces your new robot. And the stage is set. Showtime is in about 30 minutes. Animus looks at you, he's like, all right, big debut. Yeah, how you feeling?
A bit nervous, but yeah, I think that hopefully, well, it seems like this is going to go off without a hitch. Seems, I really appreciate all your help. Thank you.
So far, so good. You're doing well, brother. Let's
All right.
let's get this going. And
Yeah, let's get going.
he starts getting all the things ready. And like I said, it's still a process. 30 minutes before a show, lots of things have to happen. But he lets out a fist bump that you taught him, because he tried doing some fancy handshake, didn't work. And as you are preparing for the show, it's getting closer to the evening. The sun has just gone beneath the horizon, and the lights above are shining. And then, in a flash, they brighten, and you see a larger flash to the west over the ocean. And there's, with this illuminated sky, you see this giant meteor, something like that, shrouded in smoke and flames as it falls from the sky, and you track it as it hurls towards the horizon, just beyond your vision, beyond the bay. Then a minute later, you feel the ground start to shake. You hear klaxons and sirens are going off in all directions. The earth is rumbling. The buildings around you and above you seem to sway and shake. It's an earthquake. It's a meteor. The lights are going. It's insane. And then even more rocks are falling from the sky. This time closer to the city, falling into the Puget Sound and Elliott Bay itself. And the force of this impact draws the water from the shoreline, and it builds, and you see this wall of water rising, towering above the city. It is 200 feet tall, maybe more, and it is rushing towards the city. There are explosions. The ground is still shaking. It is pandemonium. And that is where we end tonight's session.
Holy crap. What a place to end.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody is in this situation.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
this is where I
wow.
ended everybody's session. Spoiler alert,
Holy-
everybody stopped right here.
Oh. at a freaking tsunami.
Earthquake, tsunami, meteor shower, strange lights. It's a mystery built upon other mysteries. It's great.
It's the end of the world.
If I had the rights to that song, I would be playing it. You're right. But
Very nice.
yes,
Very nice.
thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Any notes for Carl?
Uh, not offhand. Building the building of the puppet and stuff like that. Maybe
Yeah.
since it's my first one, I definitely want to keep it if I
Yeah.
can keep it.
Of course. No, I'll come up with something there for the puppets. Yeah, and you got to meet half of the advisory board. Holy crap!
That's pretty mind blowing. And honestly, question with Nightmare Dance, is that something that I can do? They have to be asleep or awake?
The way I interpreted that you were drawing from their nightmares for them to experience that vision. Ocean is, well, he's pretty willful. So even if is his fear, he knows that he can suppress that. And knowing that it was coming from you also kind of gave him a bit of a bonus of that.
Right.
I was somebody not expecting it. That would probably drive them into some sort of like manic or crazy, not crazy, but more of a like frightened state.
Right.
So yeah, that's more of a vision. Yeah, I don't think you need to be asleep for that.
Okay, so that's literally something that I could impose on someone.
Right. Yeah, I think it would be. I think with the spirit only version, you're kind of you're kind of getting into like, it's weird because the way the game deals with dreams is kind of both spirit and mind, and it could be a mindscape, but it could also be another dimension, or both, and probably is. So it's hard to say. But I see this as an effect that that would tap into their fears and cause that spirit to push upon them psychically.
Right. It's not something at the moment that I could pull from their head and actually use them against that person.
Not without a greater amount of successes. Like this one was not like a contested thing. This was just you showing off that you could do it.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good. It's a good route.
Yeah, I can see the potentials for it for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
But other than that, no. Actually, so far, a good night.
Excellent. How's your schedule looking?
Actually, I'm coming up with a week of having off. Let me. I actually have it up, and it's the week of the 10th. Let's see. Because the 10th, I'm going to Beer Fest.
Okay, one moment here. Let me just say goodnight for the moment, and we'll come back. So,
sure.
Anyway, hey guys, thanks for hanging out. This was a good time with Scott. We'll have Book 8 coming out soon, and we'll have some more magical shenanigans coming out on Mage Mondays. Good night.
Speaking of Mage Mondays, I think I have the 12th.
12th
off.
June 12th?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me double check that, which I can double check that here in the next few seconds.
Yeah, I think that is actually going to be like the first big people coming back. So yeah, that looks like that would be a good time. Yeah. I would be down with that. The 12th works for you. I think the 12th's going to work for most of us. So. Oh no. Excellent. Like I said, I think that's going to work out for most of us. So that's a good day. Yeah, I had some internet connection issues too. That must have been, wow, that's weird. Oh well. But yeah. So if you have the 12th off, then I'll plan for including Carl. I don't know how many people is going to show up for that one. That's going to be weird. Then, is there any further notes or any other ideas you had other than like having the puppets built and all that good stuff? We got a little bit more into Winky being that asshole, but you seem to satisfy his itch for misery. There's definitely some internet connectivity issues going on.
I'm trying to figure out my flashlight can actually pretty much do what I want it to do. Like I can, I don't know.
Well, the way I was
up with
looking
my
at
internet
it,
connection.
Yeah, the way I was looking at the flashlight is that it uses your forces, so you can use it to manipulate like light and shadow and electricity and some base forces. Not necessarily create, other than like light from a flashlight, but you can use it to manipulate sound and vision and electricity, that sort of thing. So you can do quite a bit improvisationally with that, I would imagine. Like a sonic screwdriver.
Sound. Okay. Gotcha.
But with light. A luminal screwdriver.
But with light. Gotcha.
And not enough vodka. Anyway, so looks like we're on track for the 12th, and the internet's deciding to hiccup on us. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go, but I will be in touch. Thank you for tonight. It was fabulous. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't hear a word you said, man. You cut out on me.
I was thanking you for being here, and I appreciate it. And I'll be in touch. Planning for the 12th.
Okay, yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I appreciate it. I had a lot of fun tonight, and we'll just make it for the 12th.
Yeah, we'll see you on the 12th. Have a good night.
All right, dude. All right, you too.
Bye. Peace.